Good morning. My name is Fernando Saldivar. I'm a Jesuit from the USA West Province, and I'm the Global Policy and Advocacy Officer for the Jesuit Justice and Ecology Network Africa, also known as JENA. And some of the work that I've been most recently engaged with has to do with the question of illicit financial flows and its role in exacerbating the debt crisis and inhibiting poverty reduction in Africa. Some of the background that I bring to this is that I practiced for over a decade as an attorney in the United States before I became a Jesuit, and that informs some of the analysis that I do here. So let me begin briefly by giving you an overview of what illicit financial flows are, what I'm talking about. Illicit financial flows are also commonly known as IFFs. They're illegal outflows of capital or money outside of a country. And they usually come from one of three sources. They result from tax evasion and tax avoidance and all kinds of the accounting malfeasance that can go along with that. They also result from outright criminal activity, so things like money laundering, the drug trade, human trafficking. Those types of activities result in IFFs. And they also result from the corruption or bribery of public officials. So when government, or what they call in South Africa, state capture takes place, this also results in IFFs. And so the question that ultimately comes to mind is, why is this a problem? Why does this affect societies in the global South, and particularly in Africa, in such a detrimental way? And it's because that all of these IFFs, all of these outflows represent funds that could otherwise have gone towards public services. Let me give you an example. The Brookings Institution in the United States recently issued a report, and they say that from the period of 1980 to 2018, an estimated $2 trillion in foreign direct investment and official development assistance came into sub-Saharan Africa. Of that $2 trillion amount, approximately 1.3 trillion of that went out in illicit financial flows. So that means that all of that money that otherwise could have been used for health, for social services, for schools, for infrastructure, for police, for teachers, all these things, that money simply went somewhere else. It went into tax havens. It went into foreign banks. And the problem that we see right now, particularly in the times of COVID-19, is how desperately needed all of these public services were. So that $1.3 trillion gap that could have otherwise been filled with social services, with hospitals, with roads, instead went somewhere else. And what the pandemic has shown us is that the role that these IFFs have in making sure or ensuring that African governments are not able to give the level of service, the level of treatment, the level of care that other richer governments, say in the global north, in Europe, in the United States, are able to do. And that represents a moral crisis. That represents something that, in particular, that the church has something to say. And most recently, we've seen that in Pope Francis's encyclical, Fratelli Tutti, where he speaks of human fraternity, of the need for us to see each other as family, as people that are in need of each other's love and attention. And one of the ways that he did this was through the parable of the Good Samaritan, of how we're called to care for our neighbor, even if he is a stranger, even if he is from somebody from another country, from another place. And using that framework, what we want to do is challenge the countries in the global north, the world's financial institutions, say the World Bank, the IMF, all of those public and private institutions with power, to say that you have a responsibility to care for your poor neighbor. That's the framework that we're looking at. That's why we're saying that the question of illicit financial flows is moral and ethical, and that the church today has something positive to say about that.